Hello, Mr. Chowdhury. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
How you doing, brother?
Alhamdulillah, good, good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me clearly?
Excellent.
It seems like there's a slight delay in your responses for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, slightly. Calm down, brother. Calm down. Okay, so this is I think week 3 or week 4 for us, if memory serves me correctly. And I know today's topic is going to be on how do we get clients because obviously that's something that we brought up and some questions were asked to us earlier in terms of getting clients. I think that question was actually asked last week, and we
Yeah.
did a quick brainstorm. We gave a few examples of maybe providing some services for free, going door to door, creating some marketing materials, and trying to pass them out and engaging in conversations. So today we're going to be going more into specifics, and we have our friend Ali watching. Salam to you too, Ali. Hope you're well. And yeah, we can get straight into it, my brother. So the question is, how do we get more clients, Yusuf?
Okay. Yeah, and it's kind of strange because uh, even though this question is kind of too general, I don't think we can cover all of it even today. We're just gonna cover as much as we can. Okay. Because even before diving into this question, how to find clients, we're gonna have to ask the same person, what do you mean clients? Like, do you have something called
Okay,
ideal customers?
Jordan Peterson, you got to relax there. Okay, you got to relax. What do you mean
Calm down,
clients?
calm down.
What? How do you mean clients? What do you mean seller? Come on,
Yeah.
bro.
No, seriously, because it's a general question, so we have to go back and dissect, right? So that then it's going to be okay. First of all, we have to understand all of us, like all of us in, let's say, let's assume that all of us in marketing, and some of us are experienced, and some of us are just beginning, like from the last episode. Then the question should be, and this goes across the board with all the customer too, and that is really who's your clients, like who is your ideal clients. You have to identify that first. Okay, like for example, if I like Ali is right here, for example, he I think he let's take Ali as an example, right? Let's say if he wants to target uh chiropractors as an ideal customer for whatever services he's providing, right? Which also means now Ali has to do some sort of research about the industry. He has to do some research about this so-called the chiropractor industry, like what kind of services they offer, what are the prices, how do how the customer actually find them, relate to them, get in touch with them. All these the demographic and the research about your ideal customer. That's the first thing, right? Because you have to know who are you targeting. You can't be just saying that, okay, I want clients. Like, okay, what kind of clients? Everybody? You know what I mean? So that's the first thing. We have to identify really who's our target audience first. And the best thing is to, if you're a beginner, start on something small. Then you can later on grow on a bigger scale, right? So that means once I understand the demographic, then I also have to understand, and this is a very common problem that most people do. They think finding customer is like making a wish and things just gonna happen the next day. No, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort. I mean, I can share with you stories when I started like more than 20 years ago, like back in 2006, the stuff that I did. Now that doesn't mean everything going to work. So I did, for example, networking. Uh, I used to send an actual handwritten mail, not email, mail to specific niche of businesses. I used to do that back in the day. I used to even attend these businesses, and basically, while I'm sitting, let's say if I'm sitting in the clinic or at their center or at the restaurant with my laptop, I actually analyzed everything about their business and shared with the owner. I said, "Hey, where's the owner? I have something I want to share. Here's the copy. Here's the note. Go ahead and take it. Apply it. This might help you, right? Because I'm thinking about how can I help that particular customer, right? And I also did networking. A lot of networking actually was kind of if you go to like Chamber of Commerce and all these other networking stuff like that, the issue with that, everyone wants to sell something. So it's not really, for me, it wasn't that productive because everyone's kind of desperate, right? Everyone wants to just sell instead of like figuring out how we can, as a community, help each other. That's why the concept of collaboration, called competition. I like that collaboration, competition, and not competition. Something that I used to, heavily promote. Like, hey, let's just collaborate instead of just on the computer with each other, right? Then I started while I was being active online, like in the days of MySpace and blogging and sharing all the ideas about marketing and stuff like that, and I gained some traction there. Then I took it offline, through, let's say, the meetup, where I give a lot of workshops to different startup communities, different and whatnot, and I also utilize some of the advertising. So what I'm trying to explain is that there are many, many ways to do it, right? You just have to pick one and go with it 100%. Okay, go with it like 100%. Put your effort, understand how that works. Okay, even if you want to understand your audience, your ideal customer, start with questioning them. Like when you meet them, sincerely ask them a question that you want to find out, like what challenges and issues they're going through, that you're going to be the solution provider. Does that make sense? That concept has to be understood in the beginning. Then you have to understand also that there is offline way of doing things to get customers, which is like the local networking or whatnot, and there's also online networking. What I mean by that, putting yourself out there, building your brand, right? If you specialize, let's say, in I don't know, let's just assume web designing, type of a skill that you have, or copywriting, or any kind of skill that you can offer to your target audience. So everything you talk about, all the information you share, it has to be directed toward that ideal customer, and you're sharing a lot of education, a lot of information that will benefit them, right? When it comes to offline, networking is very important. Networking still works. Okay, networking is still work, but you have to do it correctly, though, right? That is the key. Yeah, if you do it correctly, it still work, because even if you network several businesses, seven communities, several events and whatnot, but guess what? After 10 years, the same person you network with, guess what? They're gonna contact you because they remember you from several years ago, and this happens to me actually a lot. Like I've there are times that I'm getting leads and prospect that I met them, I don't know where, until I remember when they mentioned it. Like, wow, this is fascinating, right? So understand that you have to do hard work, right? Nothing's gonna happen in one night. Understand how the offline networking works, how the online networking works, right? Then also understand that there is one aspect of getting customer, that you being the proactive person. What I mean by that, you're reaching out, you're going out there, you're finding them, you have to talk to them, you have to close the deal, right? That's one way. The other aspect is called attracting them to you. That can happen offline. It can also happen online. So that means, through your website, through your social. If you understand, for example, let's say if a customer wants to hire somebody to help them with brochures or designs for their, I don't know, restaurant or companies, right? So what they're gonna do, they're gonna go to Google and they're gonna type what, best brochure designers near me, or printing cards near me, right? So when they do that, now all these Google My Business pages of service will show up, site will show up. So now I have to understand, okay, what are my target audience are looking for on Google or on social, right? Once I understand that, then I need to optimize my site for that. Then I need to understand what is the local listing, what is the Google My Business page. I also need to put myself out there. So right now, if you have LinkedIn has two amazing services. One is called lynda.com, but they purchased it. And the other one is similar to Upwork, where you can actually put your information there so the people in LinkedIn can hire you, for example, right? So you can put your information out there in these so-called outsourcing site or listing sites, so you can be, findable when they look for you. Does that make sense? But you still have to be what? Proactive. Whether it's offline or online, you still have to, share content, study them. If you are going to use LinkedIn, like for example, one of my business associate from Chicago, Mr. Riza Imam, he does an amazing job. And I cannot talk about this because I myself don't do cold email outreach. I have no experience in that. I know it works, but I have no experience in that, so I'm not going to talk about it. So what I'm going to do in the future, maybe have him come to our show and discuss and help us, give us some idea how does he do it. Because one of his businesses that he reach out to successful companies, CEOs, like he reach out to the business owners of a successful company, and he basically tells them, hey, do you want to write a book or publish a book? And I can actually help you on how to take your ideas and, you're if you want to share something with the world and you want to make a brand out of your successful business, he can help them with that. So he actually does cold email. He researches the clients, finds out what's their business, how long they've been in business, check their content, and he actually sends them a cold email to close the deal. Then he trains them on how to, for example, publish a book. Right? That's what he does, and he's been very successful at that. So that is something I can bring him in, and I'm going to ask him and see if he has some time to come and teach us. For example, how to do cold calling. Does that make sense? So the social networks, the outsourcing side, put your information out there, and also understand how if you want to utilize offline and online, if you want to utilize online, understand how some of the aspect of digital marketing works, right? And also think about branding yourself, like how you're going to brand yourself out there. So when people hear your name or your company name, they're going to be okay. It's going to click in their mind. Okay, this person does this, right? Because the amount of content that they share, the amount of outreach that they put out there. Okay, so these are some of the ideas, kind of all over the place, right? But some of the ideas that I want to kind of put it out there when it comes to how do you really find your ideal customer, ideal client? First, identify who they are, understand where they hang out. You have the option of offline and online, right? And they all work. You just have to put the time and effort and focus on one at the beginning. Why do I mention focus on one at the beginning? Because if you try to do everything at the same time, you are going to get burned out, right? I'm speaking from experience. So just pick one, put your time and effort in it, try your best, and reach out and see how that works. Do you have any other ideas about getting clients, Imran?
I mean, you gave like a 10-minute monologue, brother. You know what I'm saying? I mean, last time I checked, I thought this was back and forth. I just started checking some emails, and I started writing my blog. I mean, you touched. I mean, you gave a nice roadmap and journey, right, in terms of how to do it strategically, and
Okay.
and I would just be much more general. I would
Yeah,
just be
I
much
mean,
more.
I remember last time you mentioned, because this subject, I mean, even if you go to, for example, if you Google the subject, how to find ideal customers, or if you go to YouTube, you'll find tons of amazing videos that talk about this subject. And you will find 100 ways. So this is actually a good thing. And the reason I'm saying it's a good thing, because you have so many options to pick from. So if you pick one and you kind of keep dabbling with it and trying for several months, it didn't work, guess what? You have another option to go with. But at the same time, it's going to stick with you, because right now I get leads through the social, I get some lead through the ads, I get some lead through the locally, because that's how I'm branded locally here in San Antonio. So I don't do a lot of heavy work that I used to do like 10, 15 years ago. Why? Because over time you built it. So when you built your brand, eventually now it's going to be like a digital word of mouth. Make sense? And when things slows down, you still have the skills to try any of this technique, or even delegate some of this technique to your team, and they can reach out. So the concept of not finding a client it's kind of a very lazy concept. It is very super possible to get customer. You just have to put the time and effort and work. Make sense? Because a lot of the comment and the feedback that I get from so-called some of the beginners, that they're not able to find customers because they're not doing it correctly, or they're not doing it in the right place, or they don't even know who they're targeting. You know what I mean? So that's why it's very important to identify who is your ideal customers. For example, if you pick, let's say, injury attorney as your ideal audience for, let's say, running ads, you check locally how many injury attorney there in your local, let's say in whatever state you're in, analyze their website, use a couple of tools to find out if they run ads, and you can ask them questions. If you do cold reach, you can do that. But if they find you, then you can ask them a question like, what is working for you? How are you getting the customers? How many leads you get? How many phone calls? If you get 100 per month, would you like to increase it to 150, for example? Well, I can run an ad, because based on the research, if you run the ad, let's say Google ad, your lead going to increase this many percent, for example, right? Because you're offering that solution. But you still have to spend time to study. The issue is people don't want to spend time. They think, if I spend an hour in one lead and email, it doesn't work. So what? You just make a plan. You know what? This 1 week, I'm going to send 2 emails, or I'm going to go out and give a workshop, or I'm going to, do networking this many times per week, and see how that works. You just have to put the time and effort. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I was. It's funny. I was talking to someone today, and he seems like he's about to have a change in career, and the issues surrounding like what he's passionate about, right? So
Yeah.
there's been a lot of frustrations for him at work, and it's in a generally in a field that he enjoys, but his attention is starting to divert in a different direction. So that just leads me to think before we answer any of these big questions within marketing, right? Because the question last week was about how do I get more marketing clients. I think niching, right? Figuring out what within marketing do you really enjoy. So if you do enjoy, say, web design much more than you, again, completely not related SEO, then it might be advantageous for you to focus on web design and finding web design specific clients. You might be more comfortable with the vernacular and talking to clients very naturally, so that way you're not stumbling with what you're saying. You're not understanding their questions. So I would say it's probably more strategic to first find out yourself what you're passionate about, what you enjoy talking about, what you enjoy working on, and then from there, even something as simple as making a simple one pager, a pitch deck, maybe a list of services, not something that you necessarily want to even put on a website. But when you do have these phone calls, when you do walk into these stores, before you do all these things like running ads and and whatnot, I think that could also be like a preliminary step. But I think it's hard to add any more to what you mentioned. So I would say yes, I agree with what you said.
No, I agree with you. This is very awesome how you pointed out that know your skill and be very extremely good at it. If you're good at content writing, if you're good at social, be the best at it, right? Then after that, find which niche market you want to target, right? So let's see here. Charlie,
So, so we
Charlie.
got here, right here. This is a question for us right here.
So Yusuf, how did you get your first website client and what was the experience like? Man, that was like way back in 2006. I was with my mentor and best friend, Baba Ali, actually. He called himself Baba Ali, but that's not the actual name. Okay. And that was in a conference, and he came up with this YouTube channel with some of the content within the YouTube channel. And actually, people asked us there, well, I think there was if I remember, I think it was a chiropractor that asked the question, "Hey, can you help me on how to market my business?" So it wasn't something that I actually even planned. I wasn't even thinking about business at that time. Do you see what I'm saying? So it was like kind of accidental. I'm like, okay, yeah, we can help, and I can do that. At that time, blogger.com, that's what we used to work on, basically, something very simple and basic. And I even used that, right? So it was like a hobby. It was kind of in a way like a hobby, but so that's how it started way back in 2006. And I'm like, wow, I mean, this is something like kind of interesting. I mean, I did not really expect this, and from there, the rest was history. Because once that first thing that happened to me, then some of these word of mouth started to ask me, like question. And my friend was actually also sending me all these questions that deals with web and internet. And to be honest with you, at the beginning, I used to do it just for free at no cost, just something to give out, right? Then later on, when the demand went up too much, I'm like, man, it's actually taking my time. I can't be spending free time doing this stuff. So let me just start charging, a couple of like, maybe $45 to just, do like some sort of an hour or 2 hour work. I just charge it hourly for like 45. Then the demand got increased later on as the month goes down. I'm like, oh my God, this is too much demand coming through. I got to raise up the price. So what I did every time the demand increases, I raise up the price. Why? Because I cannot handle too many projects. So I have to raise the price so I can get less projects so I can focus on. So that's how it started. Then I got into like from there I got into when the MySpace was very popular. I got into that space, the MySpace, the social, the blogging. I used to be everything about blogging. Then the YouTube blew up. Then everything about videos. And after that, everything was graphics. So I went through so many skills within the marketing itself, right? But what I really fell in love with was the search engine, because the search engine gave an idea about human behavior. How do they behave when they go to the website? And what kind of data I can collect to understand their behavior and market it toward their interest. All right. Then I later on realized if I only focus on this one thing called SEO, but the customer need more than that. They need graphic, they need branding, they need this presence, they need marketing. So I studied most of those things and I applied and I implemented. Man, it was excruciating pain, because so many things you're trying to learn and implement at the same time. And that actually made me get burned out, because there was no way for me to do everything by myself, right? Because I will end up becoming an employee to my own business. Then I came with another idea. How about if I just hire smart people to do 90% of those work, and I can focus on one thing? Makes sense. And this is how your business develops. As you grow, as the year goes by, new thing comes up, many thing changes, and anything happens in life, and you basically, keep changing. So now I just basically run an agency that provides these digital marketing, and most of the area, but not everything, because we only provide web branding, SEO, online ads, and training and consulting. That's about it.
Did you say earlier? Did you say data or beta?
Data.
Oh, okay.
Data.
Just making sure. Okay. Um,
Yeah.
so we have a question from Ali, and his question. And Ali, I'm not sure what this question has to do with the topic, but we're going to ask it anyways. How does one create strategic content? How do you create strategic content? How do you create a strategic content strategy?
Okay, excellent question. Well, Ali, in what sense? See, I'll ask the question back. So try to ask specific question. If it's too general, then the answer gonna be too general. Now, when we talk about the strategic content, I'm assuming because Ali is also in marketing, content to capture interested customers, interested audience, ideal clients. When it comes to that strategy, your objective is what? Who I'm targeting and what I am sharing. If I'm going to share something, will benefit them, right? So that's the core idea and concept behind strategic content, because the objective of the content is not just, okay, they're gonna learn from this and that's it, but the objective is, how can I convert those readers into, let's say, a patient or a client or a customer or a buyer. Make sense? So, and there are different ways. If you're focusing on, let's say, for example, if you're going to focus on blogging, right? So if you have a fitness kind of business and you're focusing on blogging, so the first thing is you have to identify what are the content that the customers in the fitness niche are looking for. So you have to do the research. You can use answerthepublic.com. You can go to Google, find out what are they asking about. You can go to Quora and all these other sites to look for those questions, right? Then once you find this question, what they're looking for, find out what kind of contents are popping up that are kind of beneficial, right? You study that. Once you study that, and now you can make your own content based on your own knowledge that you can input and create, for your ideal customer. And this can also involve some sort of citation from some of those content that you found, for example, which will make your content even more credible. And when the target audience read the content, there has to be a very strategic, proper call to action from within the content. You don't want them just read the content and there's no comment section box. There is no social sharing button anywhere. And there's no call to action, for example, like, hey, if you benefited from this content, can you click share? Or would you like to sign up a yoga session for like 30 minutes at no cost? Makes sense? Because now you're focusing on the conversion. Because the idea of the content is just informational, right? But how can I use that information and convert those visitors into a customer, right? So that's what I would say when it comes to strategy. You do the research, you come up with the plan, then try to optimize it if it's a blog, right? Now, if it's an ad, same thing. You got to do the research. You write the copy. If you're very good in copywriting skills, then find out how can that ad copy will convert those visitor into paying customers, right? But at least basically that's how I do it when it comes to strategy. Do the research, put the content, make it beneficial, amazing, so the audience can share it, but also have some sort of proper call to action, because you do want to convert those content readers into a what you call it, customers.
Excellent, excellent. So what else, Mr. Chowdhury? As we get to the last 5 minutes of this interview.
Yes, because 5 minutes left. So if y'all have any more question about this and about the subject of clients, I mean, again, there's so many ways. I mean, Charles, you've been in business of web development, web design. So if you can share with us some of your ways of getting customer, would like to hear that. And same thing with Ali. Share with the audience, because everyone has a different experience. Everyone has a different ways of getting customers. Because if you, for example, if you decided to go with the ad area, that means you have to have enough money to calculate the risk to find the clients, right? If you don't have the budget, but let's say you have a full-time job and if you want to do this on a part-time basis, then manage a time and a day that you can go out and start, networking or reaching out, stuff like that. Just be consistent.
Yeah, I think what we'll do next week, guys, is if you want to ask questions, we're gonna share the link, and you're gonna have to hop on the stream and ask the questions with
Yeah,
cameras
you
on.
also come in the video like why y'all scared?
I mean, I wouldn't jump that far yet. We didn't give them the opportunity yet to join us, right? If we give them the opportunity and they say no, then we can call them scared.
Yeah, and I
I
think
wouldn't.
that's awesome. And I think one of the thing is like try to stay consistent because just yesterday I was watching this one YouTuber was talking about, and I've been there are things in reaching out customer that is still work, like never change. For example, branding yourself, putting the content in the social, writing content on your own website, using the search engine to be found. Uh, yeah, like 4 or 5 of them still, even till this day, like consistent. There are things in the past that I used to do, like I don't want to say it doesn't work anymore, but it might not, you know, because there's so many ways. But with the technology, as the technology is improving, I would say the ad and the search engine, because the clients are finding you, and the social and putting the material out there is still kind of consistent and it's still the same. Like I haven't seen a drop or increase, just a kind of plateaued, right? But it still works. You know, the concept of client finding you, whether through organic SEO or through the ad, or you building your brand online or offline through the social channels.
Nice, nice, nice.
Okay, any more questions, folks? And don't forget to hit the share button, you lazy suckers.
So how about this? How about this chicken place we went to yesterday, man? So based on,
God. Oh my God.
but you'll always remember it, right?
Yeah, I was crying from inside.
So from a branding perspective, you'll never forget the taste. You'll never forget the feeling.
Exactly. I won't ever forget that. Plus, the brand matches the logo and everything. You have the chicken with the fire in the background, and as soon as you enter the place, you can see the menu, different levels of hotness, right? And it basically, they really meant what they said when I told them I want the hot, all right? And so, you might cry to that. I said, yeah, I will. It was awesome. It was very tasty. It was great. And yeah, if I stop by in Dallas, I'm gonna have to visit that place again. That's part of the branding too. That's
What
part
was
of
the
the
name?
branding.
What was the name of the place?
Yeah, well, it's called what is it? Chicken? What is it called? Hey, I just came back, man. I'm tired. It's like Nashville chicken, Nashville. Make an excuse. So. It's in the neighborhood, man.
Yeah, we'll look it up right now.
What was it called? I think it was the Nashville hot chicken or something like that.
No, brother. It was called.
I can't remember the logo though.
It's not coming up on my. Not coming up on my maps.
Sorry, let me check. That's hilarious.
Hangry Joe's Hot Chicken.
Yes. Hungry. Yes, I was hungry too. Yes. Gotta leave them a good review so you can see my face. But you see, I'm so happy that you mentioned this because people think that branding is just logo. Now, branding is also the experience, the atmosphere, the service. That's part of the branding.
I remember I went to right before COVID. I went to NBA All-Star Weekend, but I didn't go to the All-Star game. I went to like the weekend festivities for kids. It's hosted by the NBA, and I think it's NBA Junior or something. And it was amazing, man. The ambiance, the color schemes, the sounds, even the walking journey, like the journey of how you go from one quarter to the next, and like the memorabilia and like almost museum exhibit type of experience. Amazing.
It's fascinating because every time I go to like a new places, I actually always look at the walls, the sign, the graphic, all the marketing things just hits my brain, man. I'm like, wow. I'm like analysis mode automatically. I'm just like, wow, this is cool. Look at the copy. Look at this. Everything.
It's called OCD, brother. OCD.
I don't know if I told you before, but when I used to do consulting for a local, I do for some of them, the advertising agencies, and they work with really big Fortune 500 companies, right? And they apply these rules, man. They actually look at inside the facility, inside the store, and they put things. It's all strategic. So when you go to Walmart or HEB or Target, all the aisles that you see, right? All that is done by marketers. Like there's a strategy, there's a psychology and a strategy behind it. Why would they put this plastic toy in let's say, I don't know, of the cleaning area, for example, right? It's all like planned. Nothing
Strategic.
is haphazard.
It's by design.
Yes, it's by design.
I
I was
mean,
like,
like McDonald's and these places, they have what multi, maybe even I don't. I'm just pulling it out of my head, but it's not a small budget for marketing, right? They
right.
do a lot of user analysis. They do a lot of like understanding of like psychology, and based on all this data and research that they have and they do things very strategically, right? And I'm sure even down to the taste of the fry and the way they fry it and the way it looks and how hot it's served and how much salt they use on it. It's all very strategic and more very intentional. That's the word I would describe it with.
Exactly. I had a fun time really working with some of those big clients. It's just interesting and fascinating how they do some of their work. The psychology and whatnot. So, but at the same time, got to be careful from some of those folks that use manipulation. That's the only thing I
Oh
don't like.
yeah, I mean that's the yin and the yang of this game, right?
Yeah. So
Um,
you gotta be careful.
but Yusuf, this is the end of the show.
Before you
So
ended, read what Ali said.
yeah, he said hosting workshops online, word of mouth helped him, and of course that's the Yusufied way, of course.
There you go. That's it.
So,
You got to
so
prove. Yeah, there you go.
and the good thing about hosting workshops and forcing yourself sometimes in uncomfortable situations, it's going to force you to research. It's going to force you to take your thoughts and organize them.
Exactly.
If it's your first time making a presentation, you're probably going to make a mistake. That's going to lead you to fixing that mistake for the second time. So these things and doing these type of things are very, very beneficial, and forcing yourself into uncomfortable situations is excellent. I did a workshop a couple of weeks ago, hadn't done one in such a long time. So it forced me in that mode of, again, researching, making sure the data I had was accurate, up to date, looking at the presentation again, practicing the pitch, practicing, the whatever it is that we had on the slides, and it was good. So
Yeah, and it's amazing how Ali. I've been watching him, not literally, but he's been doing very good. I see him that he shares some content within that niche, and mashallah, people do respond and whatnot. So stay consistent, man. Don't give up. Keep doing what you're doing.
So, guys, with that, it's past 5:30 over here, so this is the end of the broadcast for us. But every Thursday at 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern, please feel free to ask your questions before, during, or after our events, and feel free to jump on the live, right? So we'll share the live next week. We'll share the location. We'll share a location, and then you jump on, okay?
All right.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Thank you again, and like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you on